Today, on this episode of the DC Hammer Show, get out your hankies. It appears the fire is going out in the seemingly unbreakable love affair between the Prince of Silicon Valley and the Red Dragon. Or, breaking up is easy to do when you're both in Trump's crosshairs. As reported in ChinaNews.net, China's love affair with Silicon Valley cools, and it's all Trump's fault. So it looks like another messy divorce is in the works, and yes, spoiler alert, the root cause may be that leftist/deep state heartbreaker, Donald Trump. In other words, the attempt by the United States government, under the control of President Donald Trump, and negotiators such as Peter Navarro and Lighthizer, are attempting to put the trade relations between the United States and China on an equal footing. Oh no, anything but that. So that steady flow of money heading from the communist Chinese Red Dragon into American tech firms, as long as the dragon is the one that was the true beneficiary of the dollars spent, is in big trouble. As in big trouble in the Red Dragon's cave. So after years of investment and collaboration, or can you say collusion, between the Red Dragon and Silicon Valley, since January 2017, a suspiciously noteworthy date, there has been a drop in U.S. investment in China and in Chinese investment in U.S. technology firms, to the tune, in 2018, of nearly 80% from 2017 year over year. As reported by Forbes, the investment China is putting into U.S. tech firms plunged just under 80% to the lowest level in 7 years, amid the quote-unquote DC crackdown. Can you say there's a new sheriff in town? So just a few years ago, China's tech leaders were investing huge amounts of money in America's high-profile tech industries, the startups and the long-term successful companies as well. And now that's all starting to change. Talk about climate change. That once red-hot relationship between the Red Dragon and U.S. tech is now suffering from global cooling. And 97% of passionate patriots in the United States agree that's a good thing. So as President Trump has gotten the trade relationship between the United States and the Red Dragon headed in the direction of a balanced and fair arrangement, the tech deals between China and the United States are harder to find. And since under the Trump administration we've gotten control over what is going on in the Committee on Foreign Investment, CFIUS, remember when then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton used CFIUS as her own pay-for-play toy, as she reaped in $145 million in donations for the Clinton Foundation? As Clinton and her pal Vladimir Putin colluded to ship 20% of America's uranium to, well, perhaps from United States to Canada, to Iran, or directly to Russia. Who knows? Oh, God knows. So now those tech companies based out of the Red Dragon, based out of Red China, are now having to swim after easier fish to pick off in the Southeast Asia market, and they're even targeting Israel. And back to China news, it appears that indictment of the Huawei executive, the CFO, is really just the tip of the iceberg in what was intended between dealing with the Red Dragon and getting them back on track with fair relations with the United States. And according to American organizations that are involved in mergers and acquisitions, Morrison Foerster, for example, law firm that represents parties, those business dealings have turned to ice. As reported by Reuters 2 years ago, the United States was weighing restricting Chinese investment in artificial intelligence technologies, and as the AI world continues to expand in developments and potential, this is a huge area for the United States to ensure that enemies abroad are not using our companies as weapons against us. So as the Trump administration realizes that AI is a critical area of national security, they have continued to increase their scrutiny of business dealings in that arena and have ensured that as deals go forward that they are done in a way that does not pose a threat to the United States. And now that CFIUS is out of the clutches of Hillary Rodham Clinton, it is actually operating on the principle of America First. And as the Red Dragon continues to get around American laws, capture elites such as dinosaur Dianne Feinstein, and continue to find loopholes wherever they can in order for the Red Dragon to exert its influence, those loopholes are shrinking. The number of captured elites is decreasing, and the number of dinosaurs headed into the tar pit is increasing as well. Even some members of the American Congress have learned that it's time to step up the scrutiny, to draft and submit legislation that would actually block some of the technology investments that would harm the United States. And Senator John Cornyn is one leading that charge. Cornyn's legislation specifically points out the need for CFIUS to be used again as a protector of American interests, especially in the field of military technology. But legislation alone is not the answer. It takes strong leadership, as we're seeing from President Trump, vigilance on the part of trade representatives like Navarro and Lighthizer, and awareness on the part of the Communist Chinese that the old way of doing business is over, and if they do not end their bad practices, they may be in big trouble. And as the American government is now upping its ante in the field of artificial intelligence and other military application technologies, they should be able to offset some of the incursions made by the Red Dragon. China is overt in its ambition to be the major player in artificial intelligence. At this point in time, the United States is far ahead of the Red Dragon in this area, but they have a tendency and an ability, the Red Chinese have an ability, especially using their massive influence, coercion, corruption techniques in order to gain ground in a short period of time. We are by no means out of the woods. And the Red Dragon is really sneaky about conducting business in a way that it falls under the radar of the regulatory agencies, the committees that are set up like CFIUS in order to safeguard American interests. And there's an understanding now that that brain power that we help cultivate, when the Red Dragon sends its citizens over here to become educated in the best universities in the world, and then to have those people just return back to the mainland and to use the brain power, the skills and knowledge that they have obtained in order to move the Red Dragon's initiatives against us, there's an understanding that whatever we can do to woo those people to stay here in the United States instead of returning to the home of the Red Dragon is truly in our best interests. And concentrating on artificial intelligence, a report by the Future of Humanity Institute in conjunction with Oxford University clarifies many of the aspects involved with China's dream to be the major player in artificial intelligence. In many areas, the Red Dragon is far behind the United States in developing artificial intelligence technology. But the one area where China is far ahead is the collection and use of data. Within its own borders, the Red Dragon has created a network of abilities in order to capture information about its own citizens and uses all means, illegal and legal, in order to capture data on other countries and organizations around the world. In October of 2017, Emperor Xi, in his report to the 19th Party Congress, that would be the Communist Chinese Party, the ruling party in Communist China, indicated that it was his dream for China to become a, quote, science and technology superpower. And artificial intelligence and the developments therein is key to him achieving that goal. We need to be wary of China's long-term planning. By 2020, their artificial intelligence industry will be on a par with most advanced nations, including the United States. And by 2025, the goal of the Red Dragon is to be the world leader in some of the artificial intelligence fields, and by 2030 to be the premier artificial intelligence innovation center in the world. In that regard, as the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, in their technology review regarding intelligent machines, indicates that China wants to shape the global future of artificial intelligence. So in addition to participating in the artificial intelligence market, Red China, the Red Dragon, is not just expecting to invest in this technology, it also intends to have its experts set the global standards for the technology as well. Naturally, if you set the rules, you also then are able to play the game with an advantage. In this way, the Red Dragon intends to be the leader instead of the follower in this entire arena. So the Red Dragon has put the United States and other countries on notice that they intend to be the big dog in the park on this. But the big dog needs to be put on a leash, and put on a leash now. Well, the good news is that as all of this has been taking place, and the Red Dragon is putting its sights on being the dominant artificial intelligence player in the world, among many other things, Reuters reports that Chinese tech investors are fleeing Silicon Valley as Trump tightens scrutiny. You see the trajectory from when President Trump first took office back in 2017 to what is now happening is as the Trump administration continues to increase the scrutiny, tighten down the screws on the Red Dragon for what it's doing in the technology markets. The actual investing groups, the Chinese tech investors, realize that it's time for them to pack up and find other targets. So it appears that vesting funding from the Red Dragon has peaked and is headed down the slope, kind of like the global warming also, as we went from the grand solar maximum a few years ago into what we are now in, which is the heading towards a mini ice age potentially through the grand solar minimum, thanks to that large yellow star in the sky rather than anything that Al Gore and his buddies can conjure up. Venture funding from the Red Dragon is now slowing to a trickle. President Trump continues to push new legislation and to sign it into law, blocking foreign investment in United States companies in ways that would disadvantage the United States, specifically targeting strategic U.S. industries that pose a threat as he continues to keep America first. And the legal profession has picked up on the signals and is now changing its tune and making sure that as it prepares legal documents and goes forward giving advice to clients on a lot of these startups and other business-related transactions on the technology side, they are now ensuring that what they are doing is in conformance with what the Trump administration is now requiring. In addition to following the rules, some organizations, apparently even in Silicon Valley, understand that it goes beyond that, and there's optics to this, the way that they are perceived by the American populace, and their need to stay on the right side of many other issues, even if it may cause them some issues on their bottom line. As this graph shows, the investments by Red Chinese, the Red Dragon, going back to 2000, have increased dramatically in the United States tech industry and exploded during the Obama administration. And although the lack of money coming from the Red Dragon will not be a death knell for the princes of Silicon Valley, it will put a hitch in their giddy-up and require them to look towards doing business in a way that puts America first. And wasn't it Barack Obama that said that we really needed change and hope? Well, the change and hope that we experienced during the 8 years of his administration was hope and change that the Red Dragon used to its advantage, and now it appears the shoe is on the other foot. So as the Marxist screaming media continues to highlight quote-unquote increased tensions between Beijing and Washington. What is really happening is, for the first time in modern history, the United States is fighting back against the illegal and coercive tactics of the Red Dragon, putting them back in their cave, and putting America first in a way that doesn't undercut what other countries should and will do in order to further their own interests, but ensures that they're done in a way that does not cut our feet out from under us. And once again, CFIUS is now a tool being used by the white hats instead of a tool being used against us by the black hats. And CFIUS itself is creating pilot programs mandating foreign investors notify CFIUS of any significantly sized investment in critical technologies. And as long as we keep CFIUS on the straight and narrow, this will be critical in order for us to monitor and regulate activity in this sector. And even if CFIUS hampers or slows down startups, that's actually a good thing if enabling those startups to go forward with full funding by the Red Dragon would only be a drag on the United States economy and actually tools to be used by the Red Dragon against us. And do not forget that even though Chinese companies behave occasionally as if they are independent from control by the Red Dragon, Communist China and Emperor Xi control as much as they can and have the ability at any time to pull the rug out from under a Chinese company to bring it back into the Communist Party fold and to prevent it from being truly independent in any way. And believe it or not, our Federal Bureau of Investigation is actually occasionally doing things that are in the interests of the American people. And they are now taking a more active role in overseeing Chinese investment, specifically in Silicon Valley. And I guess there still are a few white hats in that agency. And even though Christopher Wray has been asleep at the switch, it appears some people in the FBI still do hold America first as well. So all in all, we are headed in the right direction. President Trump's leadership is once again saving us as we were headed to the brink. And the leftists and deep state can continue with their nefarious plans in order to bring us down. But President Trump continues to do what he can in order to make America great again and to keep America great. Thank you for watching. And God bless. And now the DC Hammer Show is available as an audio podcast. Just go to Podcast Garden or iTunes and search for DC Hammer or News Network Analysis Associates, NNAA.